I know they're gonna be ready. They buying in to your program. That's what it's all about. The buy-in. Absolutely. So I appreciate y'all joining me on my YouTube live and my IG live, just to have a little conversation tonight about some things. I won't hold you too long tonight. Um, just excited about branching out, doing something new, doing something different. Um, always, I'm a sports lover, sports fan. Always about want to help these young men and young lady student athletes. That's what it's all about. Reach that next level. If they got it in them, we want to get them there. They got it in them. We would definitely want to help. So I just give a few people time that may be joining in on both my YouTube and IG. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys for popping in with me. Just a little bit of your evening, just to talk a little bit. But yeah, let me go ahead and just get started again. Introduce myself as always. Um, I'm Coach Smith, and I'm starting to do more live talks. Um, right now is what I'm doing. So there's some things that I'll be sharing coming down the road. Some other opportunities that I'll be uh, providing to be assist some student athletes who may not uh, have a coach like Coach Harvey that's on here tonight. I know he works hard for his kids down there in Clearwater Central Catholic, getting his kids, teaching his kids about what it means to play at the next level if they have that desire. But it starts with the team concept first and foremost. Um, but there's some people who don't have the blessing of having a coach like Coach Harvey who takes care of his kids. That's um, it's like that sometimes for whatever reason. But we don't want these kids to, these student athletes who don't have it to miss their opportunity. Um, thank you, Healing Your Heart, for joining. P. Sterling, appreciate you. But just to introduce myself, I'm Coach Smith, um, and I know what it's like to have to uh, work hard yourself to get yourself an opportunity to play at the next level, at whatever level it may be. Um, and like I said, there's opportunities at the Division 1, the FCS or 1AA level, Division 2 level, Division 3. Some kids may have to take a junior college route. But I know from personal experience, um, not having that help, and even having a parent who didn't, being a single mom's working. Um, and so I had to figure some things out on my own, and I did that. And so that's why I'm taking what I've learned and sharing it and uh, putting it out there, for those um, who need some help in that area. And I'm more than happy to do it. But like I said, there are going to be some other opportunities coming down the road that I'm working on, putting together, maybe 2 or 3 webinars that I'll be putting out. Um, but I just know from personal experience, man, how tough it is uh, to have, there's some coaches out there busting their tail, working for their kids. Absolutely. Um, and kudos and hats off to those coaches that do that. Um, and but like I said, it's tough for some kids and some parents. You got to be involved with your kids' recruiting opportunities, and helping them get those opportunities. I want to be a resource. I want to be a vital and important resource to those. Even if you're a coach, and you need some help with some things, I always um, willing to do what I can. I have over a decade coaching high school football. I played at every level, was blessed, had a blessing to play at every level. Um, Currently have a son who's playing um, in the NFL right now. He'll be with the Giants this year. Look out for Jeff Smith II, number 19 with the New York Giants this season. Excited about his upcoming season. You know, he's just getting in town. Matter of fact, just got in town today in Jersey, getting ready to report for camp next week. So we're excited, thankful and praying that he has a great season this year. Um, but definitely, I just want to be able to be a resource to those student athletes and those parents who are trying to find their way and navigate their way through this. Um, and so, be sure to follow me at my YouTube, Football Recruiting 24_7. You know, be sure to subscribe, like, share. Um, Also here on my IG, Love the 27 Game. Be sure to like, follow, and share. Absolutely. Um, Pass this information on to those you might know that uh, need some help with their student athlete that may not have a great coach like our CCC coach, my buddy here, Coach Harvey, that's on tonight. Appreciate him joining. Um, but I just wanted to have a little conversation. As student athletes, you got to keep your head to the grind. You got to pay attention to um, things that are going on, especially parents. I know there's a lot of the conference meetings that are going on. I know the SEC meeting was happening this week. Pretty much all the conferences are having their conference meetings, um, and so and as parents, you got to pay attention because this is also a part of the recruiting. You got to be aware of things that are being discussed, whether it be on ESPN, whether you do Google and read articles like The Athletic. I follow The Athletic. I subscribe to The Athletic and several other things, just to keep my ear to the grind about uh, college sports, pro sports in general. Doesn't matter. I love WNBA. I love the WNBA basketball. Just love watching that. Since my son was at Boston College playing, I fell in love with lacrosse, watching that and following the women. Um, and so it's just, I'm just a sports lover, sports fan. But parents, helping your student athlete get opportunity to get scholarships, you got to be sure that you're tapping into things like that, and being aware of what's being talked about when it's they got the nil stuff that's happening. They got the transfer portal things they're discussing about that. You need to be aware of all these things that are happening. I work at a state university here in North Carolina. I've been in financial aid for over 24 years in the financial aid business, and one of the things that they talked about during our conference was the nil and how these things work. Um, and so I keep my ear to the grind to be sure that I'm uh, aware and knowledgeable about these things as I'm working and helping student athletes get to the next level and fulfill their dream of playing college sports. Um, just one thing that was just real interesting today, while I was saying just conversation, just listening to Lane Kiffin. He's a he beats from a different drum sometimes, but I tell you, I would love to play for the man because of his brilliant offensive mind. And as an offensive guy, I would love to would have played for someone like him as an offensive coordinator that knows the game as well as he does. Um, but some things, with this recruiting, as your child, your student athlete is being recruited, you got to help them decide what's the best place for them to go play college sports. And so that's why you got to be always, as much as possible, especially when you got a student athlete that's getting ready to leave high school in the next year or two, and you've been working and trying to help them get exposed and going to these summer camps. I talked about how you leverage summer camps and get your student athlete exposed, whatever sport they're playing. You got to use those summer camps. Right now at our university, we have the tennis camps that's been going on this week. We got volleyball going on. We got baseball. All these camps for these kids to get exposed and learn new skills, learn new techniques to get better at their sport, and to help them get exposed, some exposure, so they can have the opportunity to go to the next level. But you got to pay attention. I was listening to Lane Kiffin complain about the transfer portal, um, and also about the nil. And I know he's one of the last people that need to be complaining about that because he's truly benefited from it at Ole Miss. He's the head coach at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. But like I said, I would have loved to play for him as a running back, with his offensive mind. Um, but parents, student athletes, you gotta pay attention to what's going on with all these different things that are happening. You know, he kind of shared today about how, or a lot of people are saying how the NIL and the transfer portal is messing up the game, and I don't totally disagree with some of that. I definitely don't totally disagree. I definitely do feel that there are some things that they need to work on. Um, but I'm also for being somebody who played college sports, and mom couldn't send me money every month. That just I just want to be real with you. My mom couldn't send me money every month to feed her baby. you know. So I worked hard during the summers and Christmas holidays. And I'm not sure about student athletes who may not be on full scholarship if they could have a job or not. But I know if you're on full scholarship, athletic scholarship, you are not allowed to work. Okay. So if you come from one of those uh, blue collar families, hardworking family, and hey, you're just barely making it, um, or just working hard, and you were blessed to be able to get a scholarship because you earned it from doing what you need to do as a student athlete in the classroom and in your sport. It earned you a scholarship. It's not free. You earned that, and you ought to be proud and thankful of that. And you keep working hard so you can earn that. And also, you got to remember, you have to sign that scholarship every year. They have to they have to agree that if they felt like you did what you need to do in the classroom, also you brought value to that program and not getting in trouble, and you did well on the field, then prayerfully, hopefully, they allow you to sign that scholarship every year for 4 years or 5 years or however long you play college sports for whatever reason. You have to earn that scholarship every year. Okay. And when you're on full scholarship, um, you can't have a job. Now I know some teammates of mine who did sneak and worked at McDonald's at night, and would bring food back for teammates. And we were glad that we had some teammates that did things like that. To help we helped each other out. Um, and I was at a D2 school, and so it's the same deal. I was on full scholarship. You can't work, and you really don't have time to work. It was just a few guys I know on the team that worked at McDonald's up the road from our campus, a few hours, just so they can make a little money and bring some food back, so that McDonald's, they would throw food away. But I know I had a couple of teammates that worked at McDonald's. They would bring back those fries and those burgers. Probably not real good stuff to be eating anyway. But hey, we were hungry, so and not that we didn't get fed well, but when you're an athlete and you're exerting that much effort and energy to your studies and your sport, you know, certain times of night when you're young, you get hungry. So when I hear stuff about the NIL and the transfer portal, it's terrible. I'm for the student athlete, and I know they got a lot to do. They got a lot of things they got to work out with this NIL, and a lot of these students don't realize with these NIL opportunities, everybody's not making that money like some people might think they are. And they're also one of the things that we discussed at our national financial aid conference that I learned is a lot of these NIL um, opportunities are performance heavy. So that means you hear about something, and they even said it. You hear about some of these guys saying, "Oh, they're making $1 million, or they got opportunity to make $1 million, or they got opportunity to make this," you know. And that's not for everybody. That may be for certain big name guys on the team, but they do find opportunities for everybody to try to get paid, like signing autographs and different things of that nature. But they're not making millions of dollars. Okay, that's not happening. So let's just get that straight. Um, and so if a student athlete can make some money off his name, image, and likeness because he's helping that athletic program be well known and winning, or whatever the case may be, and I don't disagree with a player being able to earn some money, because I know what it was like for my mom being a single mom, and there's a lot of athletes on these teams that come from humble backgrounds, don't have a lot of money, and so if they got an opportunity to earn some money, I'm all for that. But they definitely do need to do a better job um, of getting all these new things going on. And same thing with the transfer portal. when head coaches get a new job opportunity to make a lot more money or a bigger program, well, guess what they do? They're not asking the student athlete for permission to leave. No, they recruited your student athlete. Your student athlete went to that institution thinking that coach was going to be there, and a year or two later, he's gone because he got a better opportunity. He or she is not wrong for taking that better opportunity. You know, so I don't like it when they say this is not good for the athlete. I don't agree with that. Sometimes you might need to transfer, whatever the case may be. Now, if you're doing it for some selfish reasons or you're complaining because, you know, sometimes these coaches they tell you some things because they know you're a good athlete and they want you in their program, and they rather have you than somebody else have you. Um, but sometimes you have to make a business decision, um, especially if you feel like you have an opportunity maybe to play at the next level. You have to make a business decision, and that's something you and your family have to discuss. I know when my son was being recruited and had his offers, um, I was there as a um, you know giving him some sound advice, but it was his decision. And as a father, I did my best, and my wife, as his mother, we did our best in trying to make sure, we taught our kids. And but when it was time for him to make the decision about where he wanted to go play, he had to go play where he was comfortable, where he felt a connection with the guys. When he was blessed to be able to go on some recruiting trips. So you as a parent just have to be there to try to give them some support and some things to consider and some things to think about and whatnot. And so, but I told my son, and he understood. I'm like, this has to be your decision because I'm not going to be there for 4 or 5 years around in that atmosphere. It's up to you, to decide and determine from your visits and from going to camps. You know, how did you feel? You know, what kind of connection did you sense? With the coaches, whether it be the head coach or your position coach, whatever the case may be. You got to make a grown up decision, and you got to decide how did you connect with some of the guys. You know, did you also look and see who they're recruiting at your position? How many guys, are out there saying, oh, they've been offered by such and such school A and such school B and C, and you've been offered and you're playing similar position, or maybe they didn't recruit as many guys at your position. Maybe not. My son was a QB, so that's a tough situation, to be in. There's a lot of these good quarterbacks out there, but now he decided to change positions later on. That he was blessed to be able to get opportunity when he moved from quarterback to wide receiver, and it wasn't a bad move for him. But when it comes to these nil and when it comes to the transfer portal, once again, because my son was considering transferring at one time, and we had considered that because Ryan Day, the head coach at Ohio State, is the coach that recruited my son at Boston College when he went to Boston College. And Ryan Day decided to leave to go to coach with Chip Kelly, his former coach, with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then he went on over to I think the 49ers as a coach. So he recruited my son at Boston College because he was the offensive coordinator. And I wish he would have got to play for Coach Day, but hey, he had to take his opportunity when the opportunity came, and he did that. And then my son decided to remain committed to Boston College. And that wasn't a bad decision, but but just hearing these things, like I said, we got the SEC meetings, you have the ACC meetings going on, you have the different conferences going on. Make sure you do your research. Help your student athlete out. Make sure you sit down with them and help them do some research. Make sure they listen in. If your son is getting recruited by some teams in the SEC, or your, you know, uh, daughter's getting recruited by, ACC or Big Ten, Pac-12, Big 12, whatever it is, be sure, you pay attention to what's being talked about. There's a lot of schools are looking, leaving one conference and going to another conference. There's coaches that are, you might start out recruiting your son at one school and going to another school. I remember one of my buddies who graduated the year before me in high school. He was getting recruited by, um, he ended up going to Notre Dame. He was recruited by Holtz, Lou Holtz, at University of Minnesota. But then Lou Holtz got the job at Notre Dame, and thankfully, when Lou Holtz got the job at Notre Dame, he still recruited my buddy who graduated the year before me, Pat Terrell, and I hope to get him on here to talk about recruiting because I learned a lot from my buddy Pat Terrell, um, that went to Notre Dame. He played with the bus, um, and Tim Brown and all those guys back in the day, with Notre Dame, and beat my Miami Hurricanes that year. Um, but I definitely just want to be sure that I'm sorry, hold on one second. There we go. But I just want to be sure you guys are aware that you need to be sure as parents, you got to help your student athlete out. You got to make sure you do as much as possible to help um, your student athlete out to understand what's going on, um, in the recruiting process. They need to make sure that they listen to what's being talked about when it comes to NIL, because it is, part of the recruiting world today. Okay, it's just a part of that. And if you happen to have a son or a daughter, that's highly recruited, and NIL comes into play, you got to know how to deal with that. So you do your research. The NCAA right now is not really going to put some things right now in solid. That's what I got from the meeting at our national conference in financial aid a few weeks ago. There's some things they're not going to put down in writing right now because there's so many different laws concerning NIL in the different states. You need to understand if your child is going to a certain considering committing to go to a certain university, you need to understand what the NIL laws are in that state as well. Um, and so you just need to make sure you got some homework to do, to be sure, how is this going to affect your scholarship opportunities. And how's, also with the transfer portal. If you get in a situation like my son where, Coach Day decided to leave and go coach in the NFL, um, are you going to stick with that scholarship, or are you going to a year or two later decide you want to transfer because things maybe not be going your way? And there's a lot of different reasons why things may not be going your way. I don't know, but there's some things you need to, because maybe it's not best for you to transfer. You know, um, I don't think it would have hurt my son from transferring, but it wasn't my decision. It was his. We talked about it many times. He decided to stay committed to Boston College, but it still worked out for him for his dream of playing at the next level. So you gotta do your best to try to help your student athlete out as much as possible. Get as much information like I'm saying right now. There's some things I'm going to be offering down the road as I get some things here organized and my webinars organized. But make sure you have a good resource that you can tap into as a student athlete and as a parent to try to get as much information as possible with this recruiting process. And if you got a high school coach, like Coach Harvey is on here tonight at CCC, Clearwater Central Catholic, where I coached for many years and when my sons played ball, he's a very involved head coach with his kids. Okay, he's a former Miami Hurricane as well. I think he was on that last national championship team. Coach Chris Harvey down there in Clearwater, Florida. But you definitely want to be sure, that if you have a coach, high school coach or coaches, assistant coaches that know their stuff and they're working and helping their kids, that's awesome. And you need to make sure you build a good relationship with your coaches and get involved and help out your coaches. You know, even if you don't have a coach that's that helpful, well, start help groom that coach to be helpful. Start helping him out, helping him or her out. Help raise money for the program. Do those things, not just because you want it for your kids, but you want it for all the kids who deserve to have an opportunity to go play at the next level, that you sit there watching every Friday night, that are playing that are playing very good football and probably deserve an opportunity. But when you have good coaches, like that, be sure, you get as much information and you learn as much as possible, and you try to figure out what's the best option for your student athlete to take. What's the best school they should be attending for them, what they're interested in as a degree, all those things. What's the graduation rate? Don't just look at it because of the NIL, because some of those NIL opportunities, like I said, they're very performance heavy. So some guys may not make as much money as they think they're going to make, you know. And so you want to get some guidance, whether you got to get, I don't know if there's an attorney or whatever that you can probably get. Like I said, learn what the laws are in the state where your student athlete may be attending school, learn what the state law is as it pertains to the name, image, and likeness. Okay, and then also, and as your student athlete is getting recruited, you know, are they offering your student athlete some nil opportunities? You know, but like I said, I'm not against that. I hate when coaches try to say, "Oh, this is messing up college football," you know, um, and I don't just necessarily agree with that. I think they just need to do a better job of coming up with laws and agreements and different things like that to where as many of the student athletes can all benefit from it. Um, but hey, I can remember years ago they did a study, I believe, on Patrick Ewing and the money that he made for Georgetown during his 4 years while he was at Georgetown from his jersey being bought. Everybody was aware that number 33 during Patrick Ewing time, and it was pretty much like they said on average, he made about $1 million or more, plus for Georgetown University by putting Georgetown University on the map with their basketball program. Okay. But people were buying his jersey, people buying tickets, you know, and they're not just coming to see Patrick Ewing, but he was a main ticket, right? He was a main ticket as well as some of his other players. He had some really good players on his team that people came to see. So when you look at the impact that student athletes are doing for their program, for their institution, a lot of people don't realize as well when you have student athletes um, are players of the game, and you see like All State and all these other sponsors, you'll hear them say, this person was the player of the game, and this school was awarded $10,000, to the general scholarship fund. You have to remember, hey, what's up, McCade? One of my former college buddies. What's up, man? M-Side, good to see you, bro. Um, but people don't realize when your student athlete, when your student program, when your athletic program at the college level is doing well and you're on TV, um, that money goes to the general scholarship fund. That money goes to the whole student body. I work in financial aid, so I'm telling you, when these student athletes are players of the game, that money doesn't go to just athletics. That money has to by NCAA rule has to be spread around per the whole student body. So when that money comes in from All State, State Farm, or whatever it is, or TV money, that money goes to the General Scholarship Fund. So that means your student athletes are busting their butt and bringing in scholarship money for the general student body, not just athletics. So why shouldn't they have an opportunity with NIL, with name, image, and likeness? Especially when I know my mom couldn't send me money every month to feed her baby. I worked. I earned money in the summers. I earned money when I went home for the holidays. I worked the job. I worked in the mall. I worked in the local mall, Tyrone Mall in St. Pete, Florida. I worked for Bentley's Luggage in the mall, earning money make sure I had work experience. Because like I said, I don't think that rule has changed. When you're on full scholarship, you can't have a job. They don't allow you to have a job, right? They don't allow you to do that. I don't know if they do that for if you're on partial scholarship, but I know if you're on full athletic scholarship, I believe it's a rule if you're on athletic scholarship, period, whether it's a full or partial scholarship. You're not allowed to work, you know. But I don't agree when I hear some of these coaches complain and say that stuff. I'm totally disagreement about it. Um, and so, um, but like I said, when your athletic program is doing well and they're bringing in TV money, that money goes to the general scholarship fund. It does not go just to athletics. That's not that's never been the case. So don't ever let anybody tell you that your student athlete is playing for free. They aren't playing for free. They aren't. They've earned that, and they deserve whatever they can get. They earned that. Now make sure you're you know uh, being a respectable person. You're a person of integrity, and you signed that scholarship and said you're going to conduct yourself a certain way. You need to conduct yourself a certain way. Absolutely. You know, you don't need to take that lightly. You need to be appreciative of your opportunity. I know most of the guys I grew up with and played with, we were, you know, and so I'm just saying, I'm just listening to some of the things today. That's why I said we just have a conversation. I don't know if some of you agree or disagree, but somebody who played college football, um, and college track and field, um, I played two sports, all my life, pretty much. from 7 years old until I was 28 years old. What's up, Kyle? What's up, brother? So I'm telling you from personal experience, um, and I know, and I'm going to tell you this, and this is why I don't like what they say about name, image and likeness. My mom saw me play one time. My mother saw me play college football one time when we came to Orlando to play UCF before UCF went from Division 2 to Division 1 my freshman year. My mother saw me play one time college football game, and my older brother who was there, we played together in college, and he had already been there for 2 years in college before I joined him, and so that was the only time my mother got to see me and my brother play college football in the 4 years we were in college. Otherwise, she either if something happened to be reported on the news back home or something was in the paper, the Sioux City Journal back home or something, and we sent it home. My mother never saw us play a game in person, but one time when I was in college. Because why? Because we didn't couldn't afford. Mom couldn't afford to fly up. I know if my father was still alive, I know he would have did his best to get to quite a few games. So when I hear these coaches and people talk about name, image, and likeness is messing up the game, no, it isn't. Just get the rules squared away, because I wish I would have could have had my mom, see me play more than one college football game live and in person, but she only saw me once, and I wasn't the only one that I had some teammates, same situation. We were out, I was in school in Iowa, from Florida to Iowa. It's expensive to fly, you know, and I'm nobody's looking for a handout, but if I'm helping build a program, and when we help build a program and we bring scholarship money into the general scholarship fund for everybody, why shouldn't I, as a student athlete, male or female, be able to earn some money with my name, image, and likeness? You know, and if things aren't working out for me, and some of you got to have some tough skin. It's not always about running and transferring somewhere else, because it may not work out if you transfer somewhere else. But you better do your homework. I'm not saying not to transfer, but you better do your homework you know. But I'm not against the transfer portal. Just like I said, when these coaches get opportunities to go to a bigger and better program to make themselves more millions of dollars, you know, hey, they worked hard for that. They deserve to get that opportunity to play at another level. So, but when I personally experienced where my mom couldn't only see me play one time in 4 years, you know, hey, she was a single mom. She didn't ask to be a single mom. Um, that situation happened, and so that's all. I just want to just kind of share that tonight and just make sure I let parents know, when you got a student athlete that's really that's getting ready to be a rising sophomore, junior, or senior, you need to do your homework, and I hope that you're one of those parents that's involved in a positive way, helping, you know, uh, helping raise money for your program, your high school program for your student athlete in whatever sport they're involved in, because I know money is tight for a lot of programs. And so you got to do your part as much as possible to help raise money, help bring snacks and things like that for halftime to make sure your kids stay hydrated, be an involved parent in a positive way, to be sure that we help give our student athletes, all of them, the opportunity that may have the opportunity or the dream and opportunity to be able to go play at the next level. We want to be able to give that to all of our student athletes in our programs. Um, and I appreciate those high school coaches who go to the next level of making sure that it's not just about your program and you telling your kids to be people of integrity, but you're not that's not being reciprocated when it's time to help these kids go to the next level. You know, but for those high school coaches who bust their tail, I know because I coached with quite a few of them at two high schools back in Florida, at Clearwater Central Catholic and St. Pete Catholic. And Coach John Davis, who was my mentor as a coach and gave me my first opportunity, he met with his student athletes, every person, every kid on JV, every kid on varsity, who was interested in going to the next level and playing. He took time out to meet with those kids, and that was a great example for me to see that, and have my son play for somebody like Coach Davis. And he used to tell me all the time, some lazy coaches, and there are. I hate to say it, there are some, you know. But that's why parents, you got to be involved. That's why you got to do your homework. Student athlete, that's why you got to do your part. But for you, I'm telling you, parents, get involved. Do your part. Help. You know, get on my football recruiting 24_7 YouTube site and go look at some of those videos I've already put out. Be sure you take the opportunity to get caught up with some of my messages that I've shared with my 6 step method driven, um, my acronym. You know, go out there and see that. I have 2 free ebooks: how to leverage summer camps, and also, uh, definitely how to the summer camp one. You definitely want to see that, and how you can leverage summer camps and get your kids, your student athlete, some exposure. You definitely got to do that and start it at a young age. Start at a young age. But you can go out to my Facebook page, and that is football. That is love the game 24/7. Right, love the game 24/7 is my Facebook page. Be sure you like. Right, be sure you share. Be sure you subscribe. Be sure you join. Be sure you pass this information on to some of those folks that you know, because I want to make sure I'm a vital resource in helping your student athlete get to the next level. I'm all about that, and I'm thankful that um, even though I coached my sons, both my sons, that when they played, had the blessing of being able to coach them, but I couldn't do it by myself. I had a lot of other great coaches that spoke into my son's life as well. As having his dad in his life. Um, but just be sure you partner up. You have to have some skin in the game. I paid for my son to get coaching because he was a quarterback. I could only take him to a certain level, but he had a personal quarterback coach that, you know, and that was from the advice of Coach Davis, the head coach, that told me, hey, get your son some coaching, and here's a guy you need to go to. He even suggested, somebody for me, because he was doing it at one time, but he was no longer doing it, so he gave me a name, John Kaleo. Um, Still close, keeps in contact with my son today, and I appreciate people like that who I spent money, you know, to have him do that, and it was a great investment because he got a scholarship to Boston College from a great university at BC, in the ACC, played ACC. He got to beat up on the University of Miami, my team growing up. um, but yeah, so you got to invest in your kids because down the road, um, you need to do that. Uh, I see your hope said it. You said, what age do you think children need to get serious with select leagues and training? Um, I mean, I think any age that your kids are. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Bob McKay. Appreciate you, man. Um, I think at any age that you feel your kid is mature enough to listen and focus, you want to let them play and just have fun at a real young age. You just want them to play and have fun. But I'm gonna tell you that as a parent, I did do that, but I watched to see what sport my son seemed to uh, take a much more liking to, and what he seemed to catch on better. What sport? He played. To be honest with you, I started out my kids playing golf. That's how I learned that my youngest son was left-handed, or he was ambidextrous, because he did everything right-handed until I put some golf clubs and a bat in his hand, and he went over to the left side of the plate. And when I bought him some right-handed golf clubs, and he started swinging from the left side, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I got to go change these golf clubs. So that's a very good question. Hope said it. Hope, that's a very good question. But I think you start real young, and you'll start seeing um, those things. I didn't make it about me because I love football, I love track, and basketball, but I made a point to be sure that I didn't put what I want my kids to play. I kind of let that kind of naturally happen for them. um, but during the time that my oldest son was born, I was still pursuing pro football. So a lot of times when I would go train, to give my wife a break with the kids, I would take him out to the field with me when I would do some training. So I think that's kind of how he got, so caught up with wanting to playing sports. Um, and even my youngest son later on, but definitely my oldest son, who's playing pro ball, I think he just gravitated to football, and even baseball, and both of them did well in baseball as well. But I just think you should just um, let that kind of organically happen. But let them play soccer, let them play. I had all my kids play different sports before I even put them in football, and I had them in flag football first, before I put them even in tackle football. But I would say right now, if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't put my sons in tackle football until maybe latter part of elementary, early to middle school, depending on how mature I thought they were with being able to handle tackle football. I played when I was 7 because my dad was a coach. Okay, and I just love I love football because my older brother was playing. I just loved it, and I just fell in love with it. And since my dad was coaching, he's like, well, let me just put you out here on the team with me, since I'm coaching. But I wasn't supposed to play at 7 years old. The rule was you couldn't play until you were 8, but he was able to get me in because he was a coach. He was our defensive coordinator in my little league team, and so they allowed me to play since he was coaching. But I wouldn't do that too. So I would let them play flag football at a young age and consider tackle, like I said, maybe the latter part of elementary, early middle school, if they really love it. Okay, if you put them out there, but definitely they need to go to football camps. I think around middle school or any camp. Any camp. But if they're serious about it, I would start them in um, camps in football or basketball or baseball, whatever it is, in early middle school. But yeah, great question. Great question. Um, but yeah, that would be my thing that I would do if I had to do it all over again. But definitely just let them kind of see what sport it is that they love and that they take to the most, and then you as a parent just start you know putting them in there. You know, you're welcome. Um, you're welcome, Hope. And but yeah, I just want to just have some conversation. Just let parents know about just pay attention to what's being on what they're talking about on ESPN with the SEC meetings, the ACC meetings. All these different conferences are having their meetings, and they're talking about NIL. They're talking about the transfer portal. You got a kid that's getting ready to graduate high school. You need to be abreast. You need to know what the state laws are as it pertains to the NIL and what that school is considering doing with NIL, with the name, image, and likeness situations. But I just want to just have a little discussion about that tonight, and as it pertains to student athletes, and also getting yourself some more exposure. But go out there to uh, love the game 24/7 on my Facebook page and get caught up with the free ebooks I have out there. Also go to my YouTube, Football Recruiting 24_7. That's football recruiting 24_7 for my YouTube videos. You can go out there and watch. And you can also go to my IG. I'm here live on IG and YouTube at the same time tonight. And I just want to just take a little bit of time and talk about that because I just saw that being discussed today on ESPN about the name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. Um, but like I said, I'm going to be sharing some more things. Right now, I'm a part of a content creation group, and we have a 30-day live challenge. And I think I'm on like 11 or 12 straight days of doing some live things on the wisdom that I've been blessed to have and experiences that I've been blessed to have as it pertains to student athletes and trying to achieve multiple scholarship opportunities. And I want to be able to share um, my experience in helping student athletes get that opportunity. And yes, definitely catch the replay. Absolutely. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And share, like, and follow. I appreciate it. And but definitely I appreciate you guys joining tonight. And I get ready to sign off here and look to have my keep up with my 30-day challenge. Like I said, I think I'm on like day 11 or 12 today on our 30-day challenge. And I said, coming down the pike, I'm going to be presenting some other webinars for parents and student athletes who are trying to navigate through this recruiting process, because it can be frustrating, it can be stressful, um, but it's also very what I want to say. What's the word I want to use? Even though you have all that stress and whatnot, when your child get blessed to be able to sign that scholarship on National Signing Day, it's very rewarding. That's what I want to say. It's very rewarding when you have the blessing of seeing your student athlete, um, male or female, blessed with the opportunity to have a scholarship. Um, hey, Casey, good to have you. Appreciate you. Um, but yeah, it's very rewarding to have that. And parents that don't stop when they get to college, you got to stay. Now they're older, and you can give them advice. You know, but like I said, when my son got there and he decided to change positions and he was considering transferring, we had a lot of discussion as a family. Um, but like I said, listening to Lane Kiffin today, kind of complaining about as a coach at Ole Miss about how the name, image, and likeness is ruining college sports. I don't agree with that. In the transfer portal, no, we just gotta get it better organized. All right, we got to get it better organized. But I definitely don't agree with the opportunity of having a name, image, and likeness. Like I said, my mom only came to one game in 4 years. My mom only saw me play one time, me and my brother in college. So if I have an opportunity when you're on full scholarship and you can't have a job, and if I wish I had a name, image, and likeness opportunity when I was playing to be able to fly my mom, earn some money, and fly my mom in town to be able to see me play a game more than one time in my 4 years. Um, and that was one time in 4 years between both one of my older brothers and myself who played college football together. She saw us one time between her two youngest children playing college sports. So I guess enough said about that. You know how I feel about that. Um, but we'll get it worked out. But I plan on being as big of a resource to help you parents and student athletes get your opportunity because you deserve it. You worked hard. Um, and if you need some additional help, I plan on being that resource at Love the Game 24/7. Um, and so I hope you guys, like I said, you uh, follow me on my IG at Love the 27 Game. Also follow, like, and share on my Facebook page, Love the Game 24/7, and you can follow me on YouTube at Football Recruiting 24_7. Um, and definitely, I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your evening to hear me talk and rant, whatever the case may be, about this name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. But I definitely think it's a huge help for the student athletes. Also, I know you guys have heard the news about what happened at Northwestern University. I hate to hear that about the hazing things or whatever that's going on. They fired the coach recently. That's why, as a parent and as a student athlete, you got to make sure you do your best. You do your due diligence and talk to other players, whatever the case may be, and find out, about before you make that decision and sign your name on that dotted line, you know. So in this case, in the Northwestern case, you're going to tell me the transfer portal is a bad thing. It may hurt that program. I hope it doesn't. I hope they work it out, and I hope they don't lose kids. I hope they find somebody to replace the coach so they don't have any of that hazing foolishness going on. You know, I think there's some things that are okay to do, but when you cross that line and you go overboard with some of the things the article that I read today in the Athletic pertaining to the Northwestern issue, because I didn't really know much about it, but but because of what I'm doing and trying to help student athletes in their recruiting process, I take time out to read and make sure I'm up on things that I'm aware. And so I took time out to read the article today in the Athletic about the Northwestern University program and what was going on or what was said. You know, I don't think those guys are told and not telling the truth. I think there's some truth in that. Um, and and as your student athlete is preparing to go to the next level and play college sports, you better be aware, parents, and you better make sure that your student athlete is aware. Um, and hopefully, in their recruiting process, they get the opportunity to take some visits. Um, and they can learn some things. And I know my son had the opportunity to take some visits, and I made sure he did some unofficial visits as well to try to get to know and get a feel for those programs. So that's important that you do that. All right. So stay involved. Ultimately, it's your student athlete's decision, but you make sure you help them get as much information and due diligence as possible before they make that final decision and decide where they're going to go play college sports. Okay. And so I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Um, be sure to catch this a replay on YouTube at Football Recruiting 24_7. Um, And you can also go to my Facebook. I'll put it out there as well on my Facebook page at Love the Game 24/7, because you got to love this game. Whatever it is, you got to love it 24/7. The sacrifices that student athletes make, and athletes, period, whether you male or female, you deserve, you love this game 24/7. And it can be very rewarding. It's not easy by no stretch of the imagination. It's going to be tough, but hey, you never quit, never give up on your dream. All right, never give up on your dream of what you're trying to achieve in your sport. Stay at it. So I appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed evening. And on my 30-day challenge, y'all see me. You will see me again tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. Take care.